Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today we are getting into something really fundamental, I think. We're wrestling with this core challenge of genuine, lasting transformation. You've given us this incredible stack of sources. It's like a collage of ancient philosophy, sports psychology, modern self-help.
Yeah, it's quite a mix.
It is. But when you stitch them all together, they create this operating manual for forging a better life.
And alchemy, really. It's like you have Plato and Coach K sitting side by side, but they're all kind of pointing toward the same central tension.
Which is
Well, we as a culture, we're just fascinated by the dramatic breakthrough, the sudden inspiration, that one bold leap of faith.
the big aha moment.
Exactly. But your sources, they argue pretty consistently for the quiet, grinding power of repetition.
And that's the mission today, isn't it? To really unpack that tension. It feels like you need the electricity of inspiration, but you also need the wiring of discipline to actually carry that current.
You do.
So how do courage and daily effort and this really specific view of history all combine to make transformation not just some hopeful goal, but an inevitable result of your actions?
Well, you have to start with the first hurdle, right? Just the courage to even step onto the track. Simon Sinek nails this. He says, so much of starting a business or affecting change is the confidence and courage to simply try. And that's it. That's the initial fuel, the ignition.
But the moment you get going, it's like the sources immediately throw cold water on the idea that just starting is enough.
Yeah, they hit you with the counterbalance right away.
And it's a big one.
Yeah.
Repetition, not revelation, transforms us.
Yeah.
That's a challenging thing to hear in a world that's obsessed with quick fixes.
It really is, because it forces you to look at yourself and acknowledge that your character today, it isn't determined by the last big idea you had.
No.
It's determined by the smallest action you took over and over again. The paradox is you need that burst of courage to break inertia, but once you start, the engine of change becomes this rhythmic, almost mindless discipline.
Okay, so let's unpack that, this fusion of courage and discipline.
Yeah.
Because if transformation is built on repetition, where do the muses, where does inspiration or, that creative breakthrough, where does it actually fit in?
Right.
Ancient wisdom seems to suggest that relying purely on methodical technique is, well, it's dangerous.
Yeah, this is where we get into this dynamic between the muses and the method. We go back to Plato's Phaedrus, which is referenced through Stephen Pressfield.
Right.
Socrates warns that a poet who just relies on technique will have their sane compositions be utterly eclipsed by the performances of the inspired madman.
I find that quote fascinating. Inspired madman. It suggests that technique without that spark is just competence. It's fine, but it doesn't leave a mark.
Precisely. What the ancients were sensing was that there are these powerful primordial forces that really drive creativity. The Greeks, they name them Zeus, Apollo, Aphrodite.
And you see it across cultures. Native Americans used animistic forms like the bear teacher or the coyote trickster. The names change, but the idea is the same. That true transformation needs some kind of contact with forces beyond your ordinary rational self. You need a little of that madness of the muses.
But here's the critical synthesis for us today. We don't just sit around waiting for Zeus to hit us with a lightning bolt of inspiration.
Right.
Hopefully not. So if the muses represent that vision, that creative energy, what Tony Robbins calls the prime time life, then we have to actively create the conditions for them to arrive.
So how do we do that?
His whole mantra is, if you want a prime time life, you have to prime every day.
So priming is the modern discipline technique we use to summon the ancient madness. But I want to push back on that a little. If we need the madness of the muses, which feels external, unpredictable, maybe even divine, doesn't that contradict the idea of daily, measured, predictable priming? Are we just saying inspiration is a trick of biochemistry?
That's a great question. And the sources, they don't get rid of the mystery, but they do define the mechanism. So think of priming as lowering the activation energy barrier. We can't control when the muse shows up, but we can control our preparation. The daily effort, the method, it ensures that when the lightning bolt does strike, you're ready. You're on high ground with the pencil in your hand ready to capture it.
I see. So you don't wait for inspiration, you become a reliable vessel for it. Because without effort, the result is just disappointment.
Exactly. Coach Mike Krzyzewski gives that really unromantic reality check.
Yeah.
He says, you can't complain about the results you didn't get from the hard work you didn't do. The universe just respects effort, not only intent.
And Pat Croce sort of cements the consequence of that, saying, after all, It's what we've done that makes us what we are.
Mm-hmm.
The repetition creates the person.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to this next idea. Character is just the accumulated weight of practice.
And this is where we shift the focus a bit. We go from the outcome, the great art or the successful business, to the internal state.
The to-be list.
The my-to-be list, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A list of attributes the author wants to be, not what they want to get. Things like healthful, grateful, good, joyful.
Kind, courageous, effective. It reframes the whole self-improvement game, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's not about finding a destination. It's about cultivating a state of being.
Mm.
And the only way to become a courageous person is through small, repeated acts of courage.
Yeah.
Not one big heroic gesture.
Absolutely. You practice being kind until kindness becomes your default, your baseline. And the genius of the sources is they show us this practice is, well, it's physical too. It's not just in your head.
These small, almost unconscious actions that reinforce that internal state, like the reminder to keep your posture alert and dignified but not stiff. Why is posture so important?
Because you just can't separate the physical from the mental. If you slump through life, you are literally practicing resignation and low energy.
Wow.
But if you actively maintain an alert, dignified posture, you're practicing presence. You're cultivating self-respect. What you do with your body, day in and day out, it shapes your mind.
And that practice extends beyond yourself and into your environment, which then acts as this powerful feedback loop.
Yes. Coach Yanjon has that brutally honest take on it.
I love this one.
If you get the crap out of the house, you get the crap out of you.
It makes you laugh, but it's so true.
It's profound. Every piece of clutter, every unorganized space, it represents this tiny unit of cognitive load and distraction. So when you create order externally, you reduce internal friction. You free up bandwidth for the hard work.
So the daily practice isn't just a philosophical exercise. It's physical cleanup, physical bearing, physical action. And the result is this compounding growth. Coach Wooden summarized it perfectly.
Wooden gives us that clear, powerful formula for incremental improvement. He says, you have to apply yourself each day to becoming a little better.
Just a little better.
Just a little. By applying yourself to the task of becoming a little better each and every day over a period of time, you will become a lot better. That's the huge asymmetrical return on investment we're talking about.
That formula, small effort, massive return, brings us to the next big shift in the sources. We move from personal character to the character of civilization itself.
And the risk of being rootless.
Yeah, this is where Robert Greene comes in, talking about the danger of being disconnected from history.
Greene argues that we're all just motley products of all the accumulated changes in human thinking and psychology. Our default settings, how we react to stress, how we compete, it's all inherited.
So when we treat the past like it's just a dead archive of dates and facts, we cut ourselves off.
Right. And the consequence, he says, is that we become rootless and barbaric, disconnected from our nature.
That's a strong accusation. Barbaric. How does not studying the past make us barbaric?
Because we lose context, we lose perspective. We start to assume our anxieties and our struggles are unique to the 21st century, so we adopt these short-term reflexive solutions.
So the solution is historical empathy.
Historical empathy, bringing the past back to life inside of you.
Okay, so this isn't just reading a textbook then. It's a radical shift in perspective. But what does that practice actually look like day to day? How do I recreate the spirit of those times?
You pick an era that excites you, ancient Rome, the Jazz Age, whatever, and you intentionally try to inhabit the mindset of the people who live then.
You try to see the world through their eyes.
Exactly. Not just what their leaders did. It's why the sources recommend books on daily life, like Lionel Casson's Everyday Life in Ancient Rome.
So we're filling in the gaps, the sounds, the smells, the cultural assumptions, and literature is perfect for this kind of deep immersion.
It's the best vehicle. F. Scott Fitzgerald's novels give you a much livelier connection to the Jazz Age than any scholarly book. You're internalizing their ambitions, their fears. You're feeling how they felt.
But if we're doing this, trying to adopt a mindset from a past era, how do we avoid, imposing our own modern judgment on their actions and values?
That's the crucial instruction, and it's a real practice. You have to drop any tendencies to judge or moralize.
That's hard.
It is. But you have to understand that they were experiencing their present moment within a context that made sense to them. We're not trying to critique them. We're trying to understand the internal logic of their world.
So what's the practical return on that? Why is that non-judgmental empathy so important for transformation today?
It gives you a broader map of human possibility. If you understand how someone solved a problem in the 15th century with their constraints, you see creative pathways for your own constraints today.
It inoculates you against the present.
Yes, it gives you this deep sense of cyclicality. When you feel rootless, looking at that long chain of human adaptation gives you immediate, deep context and gratitude.
And that context has to inform our strategic decisions today, which brings us to intelligent action. It's not enough to be disciplined. You have to apply that discipline wisely.
This is where the philosophy connects back to strategy. The core principle is leverage. Look for the asymmetrical risk to reward.
How do I take very little risk and get huge rewards?
Always hedge your bets. The simplest way to think about it is maximum leverage with minimal downside.
Like what?
Daily journaling, for example. The risk, 15 minutes of your time. The reward, it could be a new business idea, resolving some crippling emotional pattern, a breakthrough in clarity. That's asymmetry.
Using small, consistent inputs to unlock massive, unpredictable outcomes.
Exactly. And the best input comes from asking better questions. To get better answers, ask better questions. If you understand history, you can ask, how is my struggle just a modern version of a 1920s economic pattern?
Right. And that whole strategic mindset has to be anchored in the right foundational attitudes.
It does. Attitudes like gratitude, which Friedrich Nietzsche elevates to like the highest form of creative energy.
He says the essence of all beautiful art, all great art, is gratitude.
Yeah, and that's not passive thankfulness. It's an active appreciation for the effort, the context, the history that allowed that beauty to even exist. You can't make great art if you're just complaining about the canvas.
That connects so beautifully back to Robert Louis Stevenson's observation. To know what you like is the beginning of wisdom and old age.
To know what you like is to know your own nature. To know what brings you joy and be grateful you can pursue it.
And of course, transformation isn't always comfortable, so when difficulty shows up, we need an attitude for that too.
And Rumi provides it. Treat difficulty honorably and greet it at the door, laughingly.
See, the challenge not as a punishment, but as the necessary friction to forge a stronger identity.
The perfect application of that daily practice.
So if we synthesize everything, the courage to start, the method of repetition, the historical context, the strategic questioning, what's the ultimate measure of the life we're forging?
It all leads to purpose. Albert Einstein distills it for us. Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. And underpinning all of it is Og Mandino's reminder that the long game is the only game.
Always do your best. What you plant now, you will harvest later.
Exactly.
This has been a powerful manual for living. The alchemy of transformation isn't a single event. It's the fusion of that initial, scary leap of courage with the quiet, daily commitment to repetition. The prime-time life isn't some static achievement. It's created moment by moment, choice by choice, day by day.
And as we end this, let's leave you with one final provocative thought drawn right from the structure of the sources. This whole deep dive is focused on November 28th, day 332 of the year.
That knowledge means there are still 33 days left in the year, 33 more opportunities to prime, to practice your posture, to organize your space, to read a page of history.
Transformation is inevitable, but only through consistent action. If you have the courage to try and the discipline to repeat, the outcome is guaranteed. The question isn't whether you'll have a revelation. The question that really truly matters is, what will you practice today?